And we're back once again, only on Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol, only on the Last Call YouTube channel. And joining me here online, this man will be, well, he's going to wrap up the tour. It was the amateur tour of 2020, 2021, and well, even 2022. He'll be fighting the Commonwealth Games. And after that, he's turning pro, and a lot of people are bidding on his services. We're going to find about that a whole lot more. I give you, once again, or introduce you to you all the way from Australia. I give you it's Alex Winwood. Alex, let's start off here with we talked off air, and you're competing next month in the Commonwealth Games. Why? I mean, you already competed in the Olympics. You've already said you're turning pro. Why is the Commonwealth Games for you something where it's like, okay, before I go to my finishing school, I got to do this one more time?
Yeah, I think like with COVID, competing over the last 2 years, I've only had 2 fights. Obviously, at the end of my qualifications, we get to the Olympics, and then one fight at the Olympics. So I've been a bit inactive over them 2 years during the COVID period. So, and Australia has been a bit locked down to have fights here. I'm pretty small. There's not a lot of small guys in the pros in Australia. So I think a taste of the international scene on the amateur scene one more time, I think is probably a good idea before gives us time for the borders to open up and look for opponents and things like that, and just let myself sharpen up in my boxing skills.
So for votes in the United States and other places here, who's in the Commonwealth Games? I mean, we think of Commonwealth, we think, okay, it's probably just like England, Wales, Scotland, but there's a lot more. So who's part of it, and why is it for you such a big deal?
Yes, there's obviously some powerhouse countries out there like England and Ireland and Wales and that even I'm pretty sure Canada as well, India as well. I think that there's an extreme amount of talent. Obviously, when I went to the Olympics, a lot of the seeded guys was from the Commonwealth, so it's not a lesser pool in my division as to the Olympics. Like there's the guy who won gold at the Olympics is from England, so I do think it's one of the stronger pools for the flyweight division in the world going to a Com game. So even though it may be regarded as not as a prestigious tournament, I do think it's just as challenging as an Olympic Games.
How much does it mean to you that it's keeping up? A lot of people say we're keeping up with tradition, and it started with guys like Jeff Horn, George Kambosos, the Maloneys. Now it's guys like yourself. It's guys like Dempsey McKeon. It's guys even you can argue like Harry, Garside. They're winning Commonwealth Games. They're winning, medals. They're competing in the national scene. How big is that? Where it's like, okay, they started this tradition. We're keeping it up so that you can, have that power of, hey, Australia is becoming a boxing powerhouse. Australia is no longer, just we're happy to be here. It's like no. We came to the Commonwealth Games because we came to win medals and take home, the gold.
Yeah, exactly. The Australian boxing scene is on fire at the moment. In my belief, the last 20 years hasn't been too exciting for Australian boxing, but obviously with all the boxers coming up now, like Kambosos, the Maloneys, got like the rising stars like Hooney and Garside, and a huge talent pool more. This is a tested and proven pathway to end up on the world stage and in the spotlight. So I kind of think of it like maybe like college basketball, how it's a proven and tested way to get to the NBA. This is a proven and tested way to get to the world stage for boxing. So I think that it's necessary. If you can do well here, you know that there's big plans in the future, and just kind of fast tracks your route there. So yeah.
Take us to the Olympics. For you, how weird was it where the whole thing was just sort of on lockdown with COVID? And it took away from a lot of fighters. But just from the experience, how weird was it for you? Like all these things, you probably look forward to, like, hey, I'm going to meet all these celebrities. I'm going to hang out with all these Olympians. I'm going to have my countrymen, my family. That was taking glorified sparring sessions. There's nobody there in the arenas.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. It felt like it didn't feel what I thought an Olympics felt like. Obviously, there's been no other games that's been like Tokyo with no crowds, and I fully understood the gravity of how that could affect performances and things like that. I was warming up and there was like 3 other people in the change rooms, and I could hear the people breathing in the stands. That's how quiet it mostly was in the arena that was boxing out. But there's no such thing as like being ready for an Olympics, whether it is huge crowds or no crowds. It does present a different, atmosphere and level of professionalism to walk into one and perform every day at Olympic Games. I do think that to win an Olympic gold is one of the hardest achievements in boxing that there is. You have to be in the best condition and happen to pull up good every time you fight. So, there's a lot of contributing factors, and obviously luck has to go your way that you don't get injured or anything. So, it definitely was different, but it was fantastic to walk around the village and see all the superstars and take a moment to realize that I'm also at the top of my tree in the sport that I've chosen to do when I look at all the NBA stars and that.
So did you get to meet any of them? I mean, because I remember when we spoke with Antoine Russell and Stevenson, they said, hey, one of the biggest things for them was they got to meet up with Damian Lillard and realize, oh, he's a big boxing fan. Or I remember with Errol Spence years ago, he said, hey, I got to meet, Serena Williams. That was pretty damn cool. So for you, was there any Olympian you got to meet where it's like, okay, for one night, I'm gonna forget about being a boxer. I'm just a fanboy or a fan guy. I got to meet this person. This is pretty goddamn cool.
Yeah, for me, it was Paddy Mills. Like, he's Aboriginal, I'm Aboriginal, so to me, he's like the superstar that I've looked up to for so long, and I kept on everyone whenever they asked me in an interview, like, who do you want to meet? Is anyone out there? And I'd say Paddy Mills, and I was pretty comfortable speaking to walk up and to speak to anyone, that beforehand. And then I remember I was downstairs and I was about to get in an elevator, and he's walked out, and I've just got starstruck, and I didn't say anything. I just gave him and went up to the room, and then one of my mates called me up and said, "Oh, Mills is down here. He's getting a coffee." And I said, "Yeah, no, I didn't even say anything to him. I just walked past him." But I walked back down there, and one of the support staff introduced me, and mate, he was the most down-to-earth person that I'd met there. And we spent a bit of time together and got some lunch and dinner and had some deep conversations. And to speak to him once was awesome, but to then, get to talk to him on a bit more of a personal level, and that was just unreal. And, it made me fanboy over him even more to realize how good of a person he was.
How tough was that for you in the beginning, as you said? Because, I mean, most people get it. I mean, for yourself, when you talk to Mills, he is, I'm guessing, over there, the equivalent of LeBron James in a lot of ways. I mean, this is a guy who he's played in the NBA. A lot of Australians don't. He's, a NBA world champion. He's, Olympic medalist, one of the faces of Australian basketball. I mean, as you said, for a guy like yourself, who you get in a ring and you are fearless, what was it about just seeing him that made you go, "Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap! I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Speak that goddamn it! Speak! I can."
Yeah, no, like that is all that and more. Like, um, if anything, like they say, don't meet your heroes. If anything, it just made me like I don't know, like him even more because, like I said, the person that he is tenfold more than the athlete that he is, and he's a tremendous athlete in saying that. So it was an inspiring moment for me to have small talks with him, and yeah.
Take me to your fight, and this I've been dying to ask this since you've now had time to to reflect. You took on a 21-year-old kid from Namibia, Patrick Shimyeba, and not to make excuses, but we mentioned before how this is not like your usual Olympics where you could hear the crowd. I mean, or lack of crowd. You could hear your corner literally instructing you what to do, what not to do, what to look out for. How much do you think that helped him out in that fight against you? Where things you might be able to catch him with, uppercuts, maybe coming in, counter right hands, all that stuff. How tough is it for you when you can hear his corner literally shouting instructions of "Watch out for the jab, look out for the body shot." Don't get too aggressive. And it's like, oh crap, I have a third. There's that third eye, and I now have to worry about not being able to catch with something because they're seeing it and they're relaying it to him, and there's no crowd, interfering in all this stuff.
Yeah, it was I don't know. He was the better man on the day. There obviously was a lot of different atmosphere and things like that. Like I said, and like you said, like no crowd and that. It does change a bit, but more than he won the fight, I felt like I didn't give him the performance that I should have. And I think he deserved the best from me, and he showed me the best of him on that day. And I just take my hat off to him because he also gave the gold medalist a run for his money in the next bout and lost the split decision there. So it wasn't any chump. He deserved to be there, and it is what it is.
You'll be turning pro now, and it's a big step for you here. So let's start off with the big question. What made you decide to turn pro after this Commonwealth Games? Because you're young enough where you could have gone, you know what, I'll do Paris. Paris will be more my style. A lot of these guys will have left. I can win a gold medal, bump up my profile here. I mean, what made you decide to go, all right, you know what? We did this Japan. It was fun. Now it's time for me to focus on making money.
Yeah, I think I have more of a pro style in general that it's gotten me to the top of the amateur sport. But obviously amateurs, they box is a bit different. They're more pointy. They touch and feel, and I've always felt that my style and power and that has always suited the pros. So I've always wanted to go to Olympics, and I've found that I tried for Rio. I was in the Australian team, and I tried to qualify, and I was just too inexperienced back then. But I lived out what I wanted to do. So yeah, I just think it's the natural progression for me to take. Paris isn't that far away, but the amateur boxing scene's changing. They're cutting the weights down for the men's and things like that. So, and I'm pretty sure that the next games after that they've opted not to have boxing at the Olympics. So, yeah, I just think amateur boxing is now in a bit of rough waters. So, I really hope that they make it to be what it used to be.
So what changes now that you're going pro? I mean, is it easier? Is it is it tougher? I mean, who's helping you along the way to help guide you with this besides Tony Tolles, who I know is your advisor manager? Who else is part of Team Winwood?
I think everyone at the gym, the Maloney boys especially, you know, they've been to the top. They're doing it now. They're still at the top. So I think just being under the guidance and having them tell me what they've did right and wrong in their career and you know, like they've been there and they're there now. So just under the guidance of people that have been there is what's going to help me along without me having to find out the tough way, if you know what I mean.
All this is going on here, and I just thought back to the Mills thing you said, because he's a guy who's very outspoken. He's done a lot of charity work. He's gotten involved in certain things here. Is that something you're comfortable doing down the road? Because you mentioned before, you are a guy who's has Aboriginal race in you. You've seen what's been going on the last year plus in Australia with the lockdowns, with COVID. Social justice taking over here. Is that something you could see yourself doing, or is that still one of those things where even you look and go, "That's just not my style"? I'm a fighter. That's it. I'm not going to be one of these guys who just also uses this as a political platform.
No, like, I'm just a regular person that, if someone needs my help, if I can help someone, I will. I'm not there to throw myself in the spotlight about it, but the Aboriginal community is very tight knit, and we rely on one another, and I know what it's like to have help, get help from someone. So it's something that I feel like I need to do at some point in my life, and from day to day, you just need to apply yourself, not once in a blue moon. If you walk past someone that needs $1, you give that $1, and I think that's what it comes down to, be just being a good person.
All this is going on, as we mentioned before with you, it's been an adventure doing all this, as you said, with COVID. How tough has this past year plus been for you, where there were lockdowns? There's times you couldn't go to the gym. There's times you couldn't, leave, even your house because of all this going on. How much has this last year been for you about getting mentally tougher and going, okay, if I can handle this, I can handle anything. If I can deal with this, I can deal with anything. If I can put up with having to get creative training when I'm in lockdown here with COVID, I can deal with anything the pros, throw at me.
Yeah. I come from Perth, which was like pretty much isolated within itself of Australia. So we hadn't had any COVID for the past 2 years, really. I've just moved out of there, but like my life was going on pretty normal in regards to like work and boxing and that. But if I wanted to compete or go get some external interstate training or something like that, that was just not an option. But I try to not to cry about my situation when I know that people are losing their homes and their jobs and businesses and things like that. I really had to not look at myself and cry. Oh, sorry me. I knew that I was in a better situation than a lot of people around the world. So I just grounded myself and I'm very thankful for the situation that I was in.
Why do this? Why box? I mean, I know you took up age 15. I know you love it. You've seen what it does, though. I mean, you're the great nephew of Brian Bennell, and you've seen probably fights where he took a beating, and it took probably years off of his life. You've seen that sometimes this sport will take everything, and I do mean everything from you. It's a sport which can be dirty, it can be violent. I'm talking even outside the ring with politics, let alone inside the ring here. You sacrifice everything. You literally, put your body through the ringer and are part, sadist, part masochist. What is it about boxing that for you look and go, I just need it. It's part of my damn DNA. I love this sport so much. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give up everything, even my sanity sometimes, because this is for me happiness.
Yeah, I think it helps being good at it, I suppose. Also, I've had a lot of friends and known a lot of people. And things like that. I think it's been my cling. It's it's given me a lot in my life. Pretty much everything I have now. By just following this path in training or in the ring, I think you have to be very self-aware as to how hard you've had it over the years and all your battles in the gym and in fights and I think that I've been had a pretty decent defense to not be taking them big shots and shortening my career or lifespan.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are proud to have on the show. I give you he'll be fighting the Commonwealth Games next month, and after that, he's turning pro, and we're gonna find about that and a whole lot more down the line. I give you Australian Olympian 2020 or 2021 games, we should say. I give you it's Alex Winwood. Alex, before I let you go, where can fans check you out at? Where is the Twitter page, Instagram, the website? Where can fans hit you up at?
So my Instagram handle is Alex_Winwood. Same as my boxing page on Facebook, and also my TikTok too.
Alex Winwood, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always on a pleasure having him on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here. Only on it is Last Call. Last Call with the alcohol. Only on the Last Call YouTube channel.